This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Welcome to Sound Up. I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, Ian Hunter is with us to discuss his new release, Defiance Part 2, which features guest spots from Chris and Rich of the Black Crowes, Johnny Depp, Lucinda Williams, members of Pearl Jam, Def Leppard, and some of the final recordings from two musicians we lost, Jeff Beck and Taylor Hawkins.
Plus, author and music journalist Danyel Smith stops by to break down Cowboy Carter, Beyonce's country-inspired album, or is it? Which also has some guest stars like Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson. We have music news on Lzzy Hale joining Skid Row, Sugarland reuniting for the CMT Awards, Lizzo quitting something, and more. But before we get to all that, each of us saw some live music over the past few days. Mark, you made it to the bright lights of Broadway to see the new Tommy production.
I did. It was a quintessential New York night. It was officially opening night for Tommy on Broadway. The new production, the last production was 1993. And from what I've been told, I did not see that production. From what I've been told, this is substantially different. One of the big things is that at the top of the show, it makes the point that this is taking place in the past, the present, and the future. They've added some sort of futuristic sort of props and stage design, etc. It's a very sparse stage design. It uses a lot of projection. The music, to me, the music holds up. It is what it is, you know. Yes. It's the same music from 1969, and that sort of vague kind of story still exists. You know, he's blind, he plays pinball, and then he becomes an icon. How does that? So it's all sort of, it's in there, and it's fine for me. There were some things I had a problem with that were either cliche or somewhat offensive. Tommy's handlers, once he becomes the icon, I guess theoretically his bodyguards, were dressed in these sort of long coats with armbands. It was very Nazi looking, and I thought it was just overkill. And it was like, Pink Floyd did that already. Leave that alone was my sort of sense of it. But it's Broadway, so the lead vocalist playing Tommy is not going to sound like Roger Daltrey. And once you get past that, he's a damn good singer. There are two kids. One is about 5 and another one is about 10. Who are also great. They just get thrown around. They get picked up by Captain Walker and thrown all over the place. But overall, it's a huge production. It feels current. And I found it to be really entertaining, really fun. The New York Times hated it. Other reviews I saw really kind of enjoyed it. And the performances are great. The vocals are the vocals. They're incredible vocalists. It's Broadway, so you have to accept that.
It's not The Who.
It's not The Who.
That's not the point of what these productions are. But you said it feels current. I'm curious mostly about that. I mean, again, this is a 50
Well, the fact that it's pinball.
It's a 50-year-old piece. Even the last Broadway production was 30 years ago.
Yes.
Does it feel different? Does it resonate? Does the story resonate differently coming back to it in the 2020s?
Well, I was trying to make that exact connection. What is there? What is the lesson from all of those years ago that we can apply today? And I think that the lesson now sort of lies in what the musical kind of leans into, which is Tommy going, and it's somewhat in the music, Tommy going, follow me, but I don't know what I'm doing either. You know, you should do what you feel is best. That to me resonates today.
And I'm curious, I mean, not having seen this production, but even from 30 years ago, the way that we think about, the way that we talk about mental, emotional health, the way that we talk about raising kids, the way that we talk about abuse of kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think back to 93, whatever that production was, all the talk about how we think about Sinead differently.
Right.
We think about these figures who talked about the oppression of kids and were sort of dismissed for that. And now we think about that stuff differently. That to me would be, I think, the thing about Tommy that would play different than it used to.
Is it cringy? It's a little cringy. You know, my wife, who I went with, who had never seen the production and wasn't totally familiar with the music, she was like the whole, Uncle Ernie thing really creeped her out.
Yeah. Well, it's creepy.
It is creepy. And the same thing with Cousin Kevin, Kevin being, the abusive cousin. And the way that they deal with it on stage is okay in my book, meaning it's not like you see Uncle Ernie fiddling about.
Sure.
It is alluded to in a way that makes sense. And to me, it worked to see young Tommy, the kids playing Tommy, pretty much the entirety of their roles when they're on stage is staring in the mirror. And, that kind of, pulling yourself back from reality, that kind of isolation made a lot of sense for those two big issues. In a way, maybe they're sort of more upfront than they were in 1969. I was lucky enough to talk to Pete Townsend after the show. I said to him, I'll bet there's not one person on that stage who ever played a fucking pinball machine. Not one. He agreed. And just that whole concept, that is the one thing maybe that feels a bit odd today. And there's tons of young people in the audience and
right.
People, they know what it is, but that concept I think is lost.
Sure plays a mean Minecraft wouldn't work the same as a song.
Well, Xbox Wizard doesn't sound great.
Exactly. And, Pete actually joked about that when we spoke. So he's anxious to come on the podcast. So at some point in the future, we'll talk to him about his thoughts. I couldn't imagine. And I asked him, what is going through your mind? He was sitting there in the audience watching Tommy for the how manyth time? The stage productions and the movie and the revivals and the oh my God. And he said, well, I've become kind of blasé about theater. That was his response, which he said on stage as well. He came up at the end of the production, but it's great, great fun. I like the band, again, not a rock band. It's Broadway. So you got to get past that. I recommend it. I thought it was a blast. One other thing I have to mention about the night, it also happened to be, people wouldn't be aware of this if you're out in New York, and it was on Broadway, which is a block over from 6th Avenue, which has Radio City Music Hall on it. And on the same night, there were 3 presidents at Radio City Music Hall. So you can imagine the streets, every damn street was blocked, either it's which way, no matter who, like getting a cab, forget it.
Good that you were going west. That's okay.
I didn't think, I walked from the theater, I walked across to 6th Avenue. It was a block. And it was, oh, wait, that's right. That's what's going on. So we turned and we were walking up and I was coming up 55th Street. Who do I bump into coming down 55th Street? Huey Lewis, who is coming from his production. He's coming from his production. And he was like, oh, great. How was Tommy? You should come to our show. Because Heart of Rock and Roll is just opened on Broadway also.
Meantime, Roger Coletti was in the same neighborhood that night.
Yes.
I was, a few blocks away getting pictures from Mark of him, hanging out with Pete Townsend. And I was at Sony Hall just a few blocks away to see Ace Frehley Thursday night with my brother. Now, I haven't seen Ace live since before the pandemic. And I've heard from friends of mine who have seen him post-pandemic some very mixed reviews. Some say he's been great. Others have been a little more critical. And me being a big Kiss fan and a big Ace fan, I was expecting to be critical of this as well. His new album, 10,000 Volts, is pretty solid. I like it a lot. And now with Kiss officially done touring, Ace and Gene Simmons, who is also out now doing some solo dates, it's really the only place you can hear Kiss material live played by one of the original members. And that didn't really dawn on me until I walked into the place. Overall, the show was really good. Ace is 73 years old or about to be, and he does a really good job of mixing up favorites and his solo stuff, which is not easy because, he played on about 10 Kiss studio albums, and he's got about 10 solo albums post-Kiss. It's a lot of material to try and kind of juggle together. The set includes a lot of Kiss favorites like Shock Me, Love Gun, Detroit Rock City, Deuce, even Kiss songs he didn't sing that he knows Kiss fans will really enjoy, or ones that had iconic Ace Frehley solos on them. So I thought that was really cool that he did that. He did New York Groove, Rip It Out, his new single 10,000 Volts. He's got a great band backing him up. They're a really tight group, all of which can sing, so they can trade off vocals, and Ace doesn't have to sing lead on every song. So if there are Kiss songs that one of the other guys has a voice that lends itself better to, they take that on. And the show had all the gimmicks and stuff you want from an Ace Frehley or Kiss show. During New York Groove, Ace has his signature light up guitar. During his guitar solo, he has his smoking guitar. So all of that, was there. And the crowd was really, really up for this show. It seemed like a packed, sold out house. You do get some people in Kiss makeup. I was at the bar getting a soda and I turned around and there's just a line of people and one guy there in like really poorly done Ace Frehley makeup. It was just hysterical. I did get to see Ace after the show and talk to him for a few minutes. He looks great. He sounds great. He's in great spirits. He's having a lot of fun doing these shows. And the show was really good. I was really surprised and thrilled that it was as good as it was. And I'm happy for him. I could be nitpicky. I could say, I would have liked some deeper cuts, but I get it. You've got to come out and you're trying to make your solo audience and the Kiss audience happy at the same time. Right. And not totally bore yourself on stage. And I think he did that pretty well.
That's awesome. Him and Gene carrying the torch. They're the last ones.
They are, which makes me think at some point, will they just wind up either touring together or sharing a stage together? Who knows?
I didn't think they got along. I thought that was why he wasn't in the band anymore.
I think when it's not Kiss in makeup, they get along a lot better.
Oh.
The pressure of all of that is off. So who knows?
All right.
And Alan, you saw a show the same night?
Yes, I think the same night, real quick. Another part of town, didn't have to deal with the traffic. So Mark, I know you are a Khruangbin fan. Roger, I know you're not.
Not yet. I don't know enough about them really.
But so Khruangbin, amazingly to me, have become like an arena headlining act.
It is
for
nuts.
This super weird, essentially instrumental. There's some vocals, occasionally a little chant or a noise or something. This trio from Texas, they play this kind of psychedelic space rock trip out stuff.
I saw them opening for Leon Bridges.
Well, they toured with Leon. I mean, they made a record with Leon Bridges. Yeah. They're all from Texas. They did a thing together. But they're out this summer headlining major venues. They did, I don't know if this was a warm-up or what it was, they did 3 nights at the Bowery Ballroom, which is a very small room downtown here. And on the one hand, was great to see them that close up, was great to see them, early on before the tours fully kicked in. It's a weird show to kind of review or talk about because it's all vibey. It's all atmosphere. Like, it's not like this song or that song, they're different tempos and they're different feelings, but it's not like it's about the playing and it's about the, sort of getting hypnotized by what they're doing. And it's great as a live experience. I mean, I saw them at Radio City a few years back and it was just tremendous. This show, the one thing I will say, and it's nobody's fault, it was so packed. I literally had 3 people pass out very near me.
Oh, wow.
At the show. Now, it wasn't like sweltering hot, but it was stuffed. But like a minute before they went on, somebody about 5 feet behind me passed out. And then about 10 minutes later, somebody about 5 feet in front of me dropped.
Oh, geez.
And then about a half hour into the set, somebody about 10 feet over to the left of me. So a lot of distraction of like security guys with flashlights coming through to, clear the fallen soldiers. That, the trade-off of getting to see them in a small club is the combat pay that comes with it. So, that would be my note for somebody, which is maybe sell, 20 fewer tickets and give a little more air in the room when you're doing this. But they'll be going along, they'll be doing the thing. And like the littlest thing, like the bass player and the guitar player will sort of do a coordinated step.
Right.
They'll move the instruments to the right and left and people will just start screaming. Like, the audience is so locked in and it was so like silent, super attentive crowd that when they would do anything like that was just a little variation, people just go nuts. So it's very fun to see.
Great fun. There's another one. Go and see them live. I mean, maybe that's what it takes because they were mesmerizing live. Really something.
What are the odds that the 3 of us, Ace Frehley, Pete Townsend, 3 presidents, and Khruangbin, we're all within like 12 blocks of each other at the same time?
And I'm just going to start saying it now. I'm just going to start gloating now because I'll be doing this time next week. Later this week, I'm going to Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Could you film, I don't want video of Olivia Rodrigo, but could someone film you watching Olivia Rodrigo? I just want to see what Alan Light is like at an Olivia Rodrigo show.
He's like Lori Majewski at a Duran Duran show.
No, I will alternately just be beaming and weeping. Like, no question, both of those things will be happening during that show. The sheer power of 18,000 teenage girls screaming.
Right.
It's too much for me to handle. So
you got to hope St. Vincent shows up for this.
I know. I do wonder about that. It's a fair question.
Yeah. That could definitely happen.
I'm not sure exactly when, but she's going to be here starting to do promo for the album release. Annie is going to be. And if she's going to be in for any of those shows, I do wonder about that.
So everybody was talking this weekend about Beyonce. Cowboy Carter finally out. And depending on who you talk to, depending on which review you read, some people are still calling it a country album.
Which it is clearly not.
That's what I say. It is, she's faked country and then went in another direction.
It's in there. It's
not fake.
It's not that, but it's not that.
Ultimately, even though it's called Cowboy Carter, that's not the thrust of the record.
This is what we're going to get into.
Before, I know we are going to talk about this, and I am anxious to hear what Danyel Smith has to say about this. I was surprised to read the news story about the physical release. You know, the people are upset.
Evidently, she was changing and working on this album so late in the process that the vinyl version and the CD version, whatever that is, not only are there not bonus for buying the physical releases, but you're actually penalized. There's a bunch of tracks that aren't on the physical pressings.
Including, aside from the extra ones that are on the digital, that are record store day ones, right? There are tracks from the digital, from the album itself that were pulled for the vinyl release.
Yeah, there's fewer on the vinyl, including like some of the stuff at the back end of the album that's really important to the album that's not on there.
Yeah.
So Yeah, which is a central thing for an amazing song. Yeah, it's weird. And I understand that at this point, the way that this works is you have to do the album pressing so far ahead.
Right.
It takes months to get them done. It takes months to get, this is a whole thing that because of the increased demand for vinyl pressing plants not keeping up with the vinyl resurgence, you got to work way ahead. So if you're still, and we know she tinkered with Renaissance, she went in and changed the lyric after the album came out. So, we live in sort of two universes here and they don't always exactly line up. But I do feel bad that whatever, to the extent that it's just a collector's item, that it's just a fan piece, whatever it is, to buy the vinyl. Right. You at least want to feel like you get rewarded for that a little bit.
Absolutely. She hasn't made a comment about it at this point. And maybe she won't.
And vinyl's not cheap. You're paying a lot for vinyl these days.
Right.
But it is, I guess there's something that's marked that it was going to be a bonus track for vinyl. I forget which track, but just ended up on the digital version anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's that much of a story, but this question of, there was this story of Billie Eilish talking about disapproving of people who juice their sales figures and their vinyl figures by putting out different editions and different colors.
As an environmental protest.
As an environmental protest and as that it's sort of a cheat, which everybody's like, ooh, she's coming at Taylor. Like that's not what this was. But it is interesting. Will there be, out of all of this, now we've had this sort of vinyl resurgence for a minute here, and is it time to step back and think a little bit about some of these issues about, again, how does it line up with what you're doing digitally, and can you avoid these kinds of problems that happen with Beyonce, or, is it environmentally responsible to push additional product just for its own sake out there?
I say, no problem. Continue with the vinyl releases, but how about cut the private jet travel?
Well, or plant those trees, man. So
it is all about first week sales too. They're trying to get those first week numbers.
I get it.
Because they could easily wait and put the vinyl out later, but that doesn't help.
There is quite a bit to say about this release. Everyone is talking about it. They were talking about it on the news shows this morning. That's how massive Beyonce is and how massive Cowboy Carter is. Her 8th solo effort, follow-up to Renaissance. And here to talk about everything inside and out and around it, Please welcome former editor of Billboard and Vibe, Danyel Smith. Welcome back, Danyel. Great to talk to you.
Hey, so great to see everybody. What's going on, Mark, Alan, Roger?
Always our favorite. Author, journalist, host of Black Girl Songbook, and making the national media rounds herself, talking some Beyonce this weekend.
It's like my week to listen, right? It's like, where's Danyel? Where's Waldo? What's going on?
So, come at us.
Well, yeah, where are we starting here? Do we just go super broad and say sort of top line, having a couple of days with this thing? What's the takeaway here on Cowboy Carter for you?
Well, let me just not go broad to start with.
Yeah, okay.
Let me just go with my favorite song so far.
Okay.
And if you would have told me at any time in my career that one of my favorite songs of the year so far in 2024 would be a song with Miley Cyrus on it, then I just don't know what I would have said. I like the Flower song. I thought the Flower song was great. I do. I loved it. All flowers at her feet for that. But that doesn't mean it was like my favorite.
Right.
Like I understand intellectually why it's good and why people like it. Like the video and the whole thing. But this thing with she and Beyonce.
Yeah.
They're both Southern girls and you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've both been running from it for years. And they are just leaning into it. And it is beyond beautiful. Another moment I think of that's like this was Donna Summer, Barbra Streisand, Enough is Enough. Mm. And everyone was like, that's crazy. It'll never work. Those two, they're divas. It'll never happen. Perfect record.
Right.
Perfect record. Enough is Enough is. And so when I think about these moments of like two women coming together, leaning in emotionally, leaning in creatively, leaning into who they are as vocalists, when they talk about smoking the cigarette outside on the 4, I'm a California girl.
Yeah.
And that's also even just claiming California's rural spaces. It is an amazing record. And I know I'm going to be listening to it forever after.
So you talk about embracing the Southernness, and obviously, the lens through which this was presented was it's the country record, all the how's it going to play on country radio, the cowboy imagery, but clearly this is not a country record. Like that's not what it is that we're dealing with. So what do you think that as a framing device was about? And how does that impact the way that, at least out of the gate, we're listening to this thing?
Well, I think Beyonce wanted to do the loudest thing possible. I think she wanted to do the thing that was going to start the absolute most conversation. I think if she comes out and says, this is my pop album, everyone says, girl, all your albums are pop. What are you talking about? If she comes out and says, I'm going to do a rock album, and you hear a little bit of rock on a couple of the songs, I guess, on Cowboy Carter. But if she said, this is my rock album, it's going to be like, girl, you know what? Every Black girl from Janet Jackson on down does a good rock song in the middle of their album. You're not really doing the thing. If she did jazz, it would be small. But if you say I'm doing country and you put on a cowboy hat and you get on a white horse with the flag, now you have the whole country in a chokehold conversation-wise. And that to me is what she wanted to do the absolute most.
She said that she had to address a space where she had not felt comfortable or accepted, that was part of what went into the making of this record.
I don't know Beyonce knows Carter well. Let me not even pretend. But I have interviewed her more than a few times. I've been around her in social settings more than a few times. And I really don't think she takes lightly being told what she cannot do or where she cannot be.
Right.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. And I think this probably goes across all areas of her life. I don't think it has to be the country music space. It really might be a parking space at the grocery store. Like it's not, she's going to be, they told her she couldn't be on the cover of Vogue. They literally told her that. You can't be on the cover of the white publications. They told her this when she was a part of Destiny's Child and when she was debuting as a solo artist. And we see where that's gone. They embarrassed her, I think it was at Grand Ole Opry or Country Music Awards.
Right.
And acted like she wasn't supposed to be there.
That was what I thought she was referring to.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, she hasn't said it, but I think it's pretty much what we all are kind of thinking, and she certainly hasn't denied it. She's not a licking wounds type of person. I think she's always known, and definitely I think her family's always known, who she is as an artist, who she was going to be after Destiny's Child, who she was going to be as one of the most defining artists of the last 50 or 60 years at this point, if not the most. And she's not stepping off of that line. Not to go to another country reference, but she's walking that line. She is.
It's the ambition on this project the scope of this project. I mean, Americana, like, now is a term that's a specific thing, right? It means folk that's kind of country, kind of rock, and sounds like a certain thing. This, to me, is an Americana record in that she's really trying to absorb and express so many different strands and traditions. And, I mean, it's not even, it's beyond like genre as a thing. It's something bigger than that. And the sprawl, it's a long ass record. I mean, it's an hour 20, it's 27 tracks, but I feel like the sprawl is kind of the point in the way that it is for like the White Album. Like, of course, the White Album would have been a better record if the Beatles had edited down more, but that's not what the project was. And here, that's where it feels like the scope is what this is about.
Yes, I think Beyonce made a conscious decision to blow up the status quo. I think she made a conscious decision to say this: the race-based categories of American music, the race-based genres of American music are and have always been artificial. And that we all actually, and I hesitate to sound kumbaya, but Alan knows it is a favorite thing of mine to sound kumbaya.
It's a pop girl.
Yes, man. Listen, Beyonce's saying this: we can actually make music together. All of these things were made up, R&B. You can point to the moment when that was made up.
Right.
These things were made up because of segregation, customary segregation, legal segregation, advertising segregation. These things were made up. Their meetings were had, labels were decided upon, charts were named. Radio stations were programmed along those lines. Record stores were divided up along those lines.
Right.
This is a thing that is made up. And I think Beyonce says, something, there's really no reason why Miley and I aren't on the same record.
What about, do you speak to, as far as this idea goes, covering Blackbird in the way that she did, and covering, Woo is right, and Jolene.
Yeah, these are iconic records.
Yeah.
Iconic rock records, iconic country records, iconic pop records. These are the Beatles. These are the Beatles, like the actual Beatles with an A. These are the Beatles, okay?
And she's singing over the actual recording of the Beatles.
Right, that little tap that is through. It's amazing.
Is it not brilliant? And the way she's just like layering her meanings for us. The way there's this clip that's going around now of Sir Paul where he's saying, yeah, well, I'm going to completely make up what he's saying, but it's to the effect of, why were y'all being so racist over there to the Black kids that were just trying to go to college? Like, I'm trying to figure out what y'all were doing, so I wrote a song. I mean, that's basically what Paul McCartney was saying. And it's like the conversations that starts, the way the Beatles have been coded so white in this country, when I'm like, why are y'all tripping about the fact that Beyonce is covering the Beatles when the Beatles were covering Motown and Motown was covering the Beatles back and forth like it was ping pong? Like, this was a happening thing. It's just because of the way that this country has moved over the last 50, 60 years that we haven't moved in a direction of like, oh my God, we're actually more similar than we thought.
More of that.
Yeah.
This may be an impossible task, though I know it's what you struggle with more than anybody, is it to the extent it's possible to leave aside the concept and the intent here and just listen to the music. Even these songs and I'll say some of the ballads don't get all the way there for me yet, but even on those, her singing is fantastic on this record. What do you hear going on just in the music and the performances here?
I feel confidence in the way she is singing. I feel like she's singing the way she sings in the shower. I feel like I do. I feel like this is what her voice actually sounds like. I also hear confidence in the songwriting.
The breadth of issues, of topics, of interpersonal relationships that she takes on, whether she's talking about a mother-daughter relationship or a black-white relationship or a love relationship. I mean, the number of places that she goes and lyrically, beautifully articulates is one of the things that struck me.
She's a very, very thoughtful and focused and, dare I say, wild and strange girl.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is probably, and we've had the B-Day, and we've had the I Am Sasha Fierce, and we've had all these different things, but I think this is the identity album for Beyonce.
Do you think this is going to be years hence? This is her masterpiece. This is her Sgt. Pepper, if you will, or,
Yes.
you know.
I don't doubt that at all. This is her songs in the key of life. This is, imagine if it had been a double album. I'm fanning myself currently.
Well, it functioned. It's 80 minutes or whatever it is. I mean,
28 songs.
I would call that a double album.
Kind of is, Alan.
Whatever the digital world tells you.
It's true. It's true. It's her identity album. It's her saying, this is who I am. Also, I'm a grown-up lady. Listen, I am a grown-up lady. I hang around with the coolest people in the world, the most creative people in the world, and we make the coolest SHIT in the world. In the world. Like, who is more cool than Dolly Parton? Who among us?
No, you don't top that.
That's the other part of this that, you know, that makes it a concept album. You know, it's a collection of amazing songs, but that interstitial tissue, the Willie and Dolly things, and Linda Martell.
And it is funny because you'll start to think like, okay, she sort of set up this country, this, you know, framework, but then she kind of drifts away from it. You're like, okay, is that sort of, we're not doing that? But then she brings it back around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When she brings in those guys, or she go back to a song, like she doesn't lose the thread of that, even when it moves very far away from that.
She doesn't lose the thread. It's a beautiful thing to listen to the album, I think, in order. I mean, obviously, I've been listening to She and Miley on its own. I've been listening to Ya Ya.
Ya Ya.
Ooh, that
Oof.
song.
My favorite on the record. Oh.
Man, is that not the best thing? Is that not a party in a can? Like, what are we doing?
When you said, I never thought at the top of this, I never thought I would be a Miley record that would be one of my favorite records. I kind of thought you were going to say, I never thought we were going to live in a world where Beyonce would be singing Beach Boys songs and these boots are made for walking.
Come on,
Beyonce songs.
Come on. Alan, you know how I am about the Beach Boys, and
You're
know
California girl.
They are my tortured favorite. Like, I'm tortured by the fact that they are my favorite, but they are, right? And when you hear that, and it's just this idea, again, to go back to, it's like, why are we all acting like we're all so far apart? Why? Like, if cultural credit had been given fairly, if the monies for writing, producing, and vocals and et cetera had been distributed equitably, it makes me sad, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I hear it in the album. I hear the loss in the album, honestly, of what really could have been. And I think that that's what has me by the throat. Is like, if folks had acted right at the dawn of pop, because some of the best music in the 50s and 60s was made by teams that were multicultural, that were white and black. I'm writing, you're producing, you're vocal arranging, you're coming up with the gospel backgrounds. Oh my God, is that Whitney Houston's mama with Elvis Presley on stage? What's going on? But see, no one wants to talk about that. And that's the loss that I feel that also ties this album together, is Beyonce saying, this is what could have been, but I left it to the previous generations to F it up.
And what's extra interesting about that at this moment, and this is purely technology and economics, maybe more than, you know, sociocultural anything. I mean, she says she started this record 5-6 years ago. In between then and now, something that we talk about on the air all the time, and Danny, you and I talk about all the time, is we live in a world where genres are disappearing anyway because of the way people consume music, that we're back to trap beats on country records, or, you know, whatever guest spot, like the distinctions of pop, hip hop, country, whatever, the chart, like nothing works that way now.
It doesn't. And as a former editor of Billboard, and as a former editor of R&B at Billboard, I get the rubric. Like, I understand. We should know which song is the hottest. We should know. I love almost nothing more, Alan knows this, than a good, solid #1 pop hit. That to me is, the streets have spoken. Everybody's listening to this. But I see no reason, and I never have, for the segregated charts. I do not. And in this era where everyone is making their own playlists and picking their own songs, and I just want a playlist where all the producer is the same throughout, or the breakbeat is the same throughout, or all the jazz songs that have been sampled, or whatever it is, it makes the charts look like last century.
Yep.
And it's got to stop.
Well, I don't think we're going to be able to change Billboard anytime soon.
We won't. We won't.
You know that.
I'll tell you one thing, though, Mark. I can live it, though, as I always have, in my heart, though. I can live in a life since I'm changing the radio station on my own at 7, 8 years old of this just sounds good, so I'm just going to listen to it. That's the musical world that I live in.
And that is the musical world we all should live in. That's spot on. This sounds good. I'm going to listen to it. That's a good one. Words to live by. Danyel Smith, thanks for the perspective that you've given us on this stunning record. I am still gobsmacked, still trying to take it in. Thank you for joining us and giving us your take.
Thank you for having me. Always good to see you guys.
Danyel Smith. So, Beyonce testing the country waters. Nothing new, really. A lot of artists over the years have strayed, or maybe they totally switched a musical genre that they have become known for, that they built their careers on, whether it's the Bee Gees going disco, Taylor going not country, going from country to pop. So
the ongoing question as music fans, do we like it when they do that? Do we find it cool? Does it take us somewhere new? Or does it piss us off that we're not getting what we want from these artists? We'll have our take. We want your take. Send us your emails, your thoughts, your voice messages to connect@sounduppod.com.
Connect@sounduppod.com. Or you can join us live in the Sound Up Pod virtual studio this Wednesday, April the 3rd, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific. To sign up and be a part of the Sound Up Pod squad, go to www.sounduppod.com, click the panelist link, and we hope to see you there. All right. We have some more news to get to. Alan, why don't we start with the Sugarland story?
One of the most successful duos in country music history, Sugarland, will be performing at the CMT Music Awards this year. It's a big deal because they haven't played live since their 2017 reunion. Mm-hmm. Jennifer Nettles, one of our favorite singers around here, and Christian Bush, who has had a very successful writing and producing career, haven't worked together since the 2018 album Bigger, and they haven't played at the CMT Awards for 13 years. Big hits. You got to assume if they're going to do this, it's probably not a one-off. Something is going to follow, whether new music or tour. No announcements yet. Nothing that we've heard there, but an interesting one to come back around. The CMT Music Awards, April 7th, coming up this weekend on CBS. It is a tragic 40th anniversary. 40 years ago, on April 2nd, Marvin Gaye was murdered. And there's some remarkable new Marvin Gaye news.
It's been 40 years since he died, and still his music streamed and downloaded about 20 million times a month. His classic duet with Tammy Terrell, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, I literally just listened to that this weekend, has been streamed more than 1 billion times. So the value of all these audio tapes containing new material recorded by Marvin Gaye would be huge, and that apparently is what has been discovered.
Really remarkable story. A big trove of stuff has been found from the time when, in his career, Marvin sort of retired, retreated, and moved to Belgium, moved to rural coastal Belgium, and was not heard from for years. Eventually, that's where he wrote Sexual Healing,
right,
got back in the world, did the Midnight Love record, and sort of came to new heights again in the early 80s. But there's this in-between when he's in the city of Ostend and breaking for a while, his drug addiction, his drug issues, working out, getting himself together and getting back in the game. But a Belgian lawyer named Alex Trepanier, a business partner of the family who lay claim to this stash of stuff, say there are 66 unreleased demo recordings by Marvin Gaye made during this period. Now everybody has to figure out what happens to them, how the rights work, what he may or may not have been between recording contracts. He's out of Motown. When he reemerged with Midnight Love, it was on Columbia, or Epic. It was within the Columbia family. So, obviously there's a publishing company involved. There's a state involved. And we don't know what these are. Like, are they sketches? Are they more finished songs? But more than 5 dozen unreleased Marvin Gaye recordings from this very mysterious period in his career. The biopic that's been in the works really focuses on this chapter in his life.
The weird law over there is what's I don't quite understand. That it stipulates that any property, however you acquire it, even if you steal it, becomes absolutely yours after a period of 30 years. Now, there isn't any theft going on, at least it seems like, with this particular issue, though, right?
The lawyer says they belong to the family. They were left in Belgium 42 years ago. Marvin gave it to them and said, do whatever you want with it, and never came back. That's important. So by the precedent that you're saying there, it's this Belgian family's property.
Right.
Now, again, that doesn't clear out the rights. That doesn't figure out what you're able to do with it. So there's a story in the BBC. They heard a couple of teaser snippets of music, looked through the documentation, the notebooks, drafts of lyrics, racks of clothes. There's apparently a whole essentially warehouse of stuff. And we will see what comes of it.
We can jump to big news, a new front person for Skid Row. You may have heard, if you're a Skid Row fan, you know that they, for the last bunch of years, have been using Eric Grönwall. He was a Swedish Idol winner, but he has now left the band. He's focusing on his health. He's been battling leukemia, but he's been beating it, but is immunocompromised and therefore can't tour. So that means Skid Row needed a new vocalist. Lzzy Hale has stepped up, of Hailstorm. She said, I started listening to Skid Row when I was a teenager growing up on the East Coast in central Pennsylvania. They were the only bands at the time that truly bridged the gap for my love of 80s, big choruses and riffs, but had the same poignant dirt and grime that was seeping into the cracks of my mind during the 90s. Yes. That is what, now she's joined, but it is at the moment anyway, limited. She's got a series of shows, but it sounds as though Grönwall he's not coming back. So even though this may be temporary for Lzzy, and Hailstorm hasn't been all that busy. I mean, they just came out with some stuff, but who knows? I like a woman fronting Skid Row. It's too bad we didn't have this news when Sebastian Bach was on our show last week.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, obviously there must still be tension between the two camps, because here was an opportunity for Sebastian to step back in, and either one side or both just, again, did not connect on that or even have the conversation. But I think Lzzy stepping in is really cool, and I'd go see that show in a second.
Totally there. So, and it's especially for this day and age, it's great to see a woman fronting that band. I mean, look, they were one of the quintessential hair metal bands and just full of testosterone. So bring in some progesterone.
So we'll see if this is a test run for something more, or just a Band-Aid while they figure it out.
Right.
All right. One last thing, a story that none of us fully understand. Lizzo announced on Friday that she is seemingly quitting. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm getting tired of putting up with being dragged by everyone in my life and on the internet. She posted on her Instagram, all I want is to make music and make people happy and help the world be a little better than how I found it. I'm starting to feel like the world doesn't want me in it. I'm constantly up against lies being told about me for clout and views. She goes on to say, I didn't sign up for this shit. I quit.
Quit what?
Some are saying, here's a story that's saying, seemingly quitting the music industry. Well, that's one possible interpretation. Seemingly quitting social media would be another possible interpretation.
Right.
We don't know.
Just quitting being stressed about all the haters. Shake it off. Now Lizzo, we should say, appeared at, you mentioned that big fundraiser with the three presidents at Radio City last week. Lizzo was among the performers at that event. She did an interview with the New York Times last week about her new clothing line. Didn't indicate that she's quitting anything or anybody there. Now, maybe it was response to that story that's what triggered the emotion of this response. She said, I'm taking the time every day to put some love into my body. There's never a day when I regret taking a walk or doing some Pilates. So she was talking body positivity. So I don't know. This is all we got.
This is one thing about the ambiguities of social media. You could just say stuff and walk away.
Walk away. Right. Right. Who the hell knows? You can't imagine that a woman who worked as hard as she did and has finally hit it is walking away. That would be crazy. And I never knew, Alan, I don't know if you heard, was those accusations, did they wind up being bullshit or not?
I still pending as far as I know. They, again, 3 of her backup dancers had filed a suit last year alleging that she created a hostile work environment and sexually harassed her employees. She denied all allegations. In February, so just a month, whatever that was, a judge in LA denied Lizzo's request to throw out the suit, did not toss the suit. So the suit is moving forward, at least for the time being. There was another suit from a fashion designer, some sort of...
Who said that she was too diva-esque?
Well, that she, allowed bullying, harassment, and discrimination on her tour, another former employee. So that came up later last year, September 23.
Well, I don't want to believe that. She seems like the coolest person, most inclusive person ever. I don't want to believe that. Well, that's another one we got to wait and see.
A lot of unfinished business in the news today.
It really is. So we encourage you to send us your comments, your questions, concert reviews, and topic ideas. You can connect with us at connect@sounduppod.com. That is the same place to go if you want to respond to our question, our topic today. How do you feel when a band or an artist that you love suddenly changes genres? They were a rock artist and now suddenly they're playing country, or they were a country artist and now they're playing dance. So hit us up, connect@sounduppod.com. But stay where you are. Sound Up continues. Ian Hunter, the legend of Mott the Hoople fame and some incredible solo work, has a new solo record on the way out April 19th called Defiance Part 2. Ian Hunter joins us next on Sound Up.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Really excited to have a very special guest joining us. Ian Hunter has been making music for a lot of years, and certainly after Mott the Hoople, an incredible solo career. And we have new music out coming just a couple of weeks from now on April the 19th from Ian Hunter solo, his 17th, if I'm counting correctly, solo record since leaving Mott the Hoople. Defiance Part 2, out April 19th with a ton of special guests. Ian Hunter, thank you for joining us on Sound Up.
Hi, Mark. We go back.
Indeed, we do. You know, I was telling these guys that I spent a Boxing Day at your house. Some New Year's or other, way the hell back then.
Yeah.
But great to, I'm so excited about both of these records, Ian, because look, it's difficult for a man in your position to continue, meaning someone who has been in rock and roll for as long as you had, to continue to make music that makes sense, that is relevant, and you are able to articulate things in a way that doesn't sound like you're some old fuck complaining.
And then you're excited. And then you're excited about.
And that you're excited. Yeah.
Well, I like a bit of excitement, bit of fun, bit of camaraderie.
But it started with Defiance 1. Mm-hmm. Those songs, if I'm right, you were diagnosed with tinnitus in 2019.
Yeah.
And told to stay off the road, which, timing wise, considering, worked out great.
Well, COVID, COVID, both things happened at the same time.
And so I have to imagine that those songs certainly were created during COVID, but the fact that you're continuing with Defiance Part 2, were these ideas also developed during that time?
Most of them, yeah. I had an incredible run of about maybe 20, 21 songs. I think what it was the stuff was coming back from different people. And that in itself was an inspiration that kept me going, to do more,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it started out as a fluke. And as these people started playing on these songs, it's sort of most encouraging, So I continued and continued and continued.
Well, talk a bit about, because in both volumes of this, the guest stars and other appearances is this amazing list. Just on this album, the Cheap Trick Guys, Pearl Jam, Black Crowes, Def Leppard, Stone Temple Pilots. How does this work? Did you go around calling your friends one by one and seeing who's out there? Did you just throw up a bat signal and see who responds? How did it work to draft in all the talent?
There's a photographer called Ross Halfin, and our manager's Mike Cabawachi. And they suggested, because apparently, Ross had been taking photographs, and a couple of the guys like Slash and Billy Gibbons had said, yeah, we're up for doing something. So they told me about this, and it just kind of gradually developed. People started turning up.
In a situation like this, with an embarrassment of riches, the people who are fans of yours who want to play with you are legend. How do you decide? Let's talk strictly about Defiance 2, just for the sake of it, since that's the new one. Yeah, how do you decide what you send to someone and see what they bring back?
Well, in the case of Bed of Roses, that runs around 117, the speed of it. That's a Ringo speed. So. It's like, well, I'd worked with Ringo, and let's send it him. You never know, And it was like, well, if I like it, I'll do it. If I don't like it, I won't do it. And it came back 4 days later, done. And it was perfect. And then, you're looking for somebody that really plays for a song. And Campbell, is one of the best at that, And we sent a couple of songs to Campbell, and back they came. And Campbell improves everything that he does. He always did with Tom Petty.
You're talking about Mike Campbell, just to be clear.
Yeah, Mike Campbell, I'm sorry. And it just kind of developed. Sometimes I knew somebody. Sometimes, I'd met Mike Campbell and Belmont years ago in L.A. I'd met Taylor Hawkins in L.A.
Who was on, 4 tracks, I think, on this record? Taylor?
Taylor's on 4 on this one, yeah. He wanted to do a lot. I mean, he's kind of like Joe Elliott. He's a mad enthusiast about everything.
I know Joe Elliott is a massive Mott the Hoople fan. Is that the case with Taylor? Was he a Mott fan also?
I don't know. I guess he was. I talked to him. But I think he liked a lot of stuff, Taylor. It just seemed like he liked Yes, you know what I mean? He liked everything. So, but it was a pleasure talking to him, and it was so sad what happened because he was the genuine, 24 hours a day rocker,
Yeah.
He just loved it.
So how did this, you'd have a song, you'd figure out who might sound right or who might slot in for that, you'd send it off. Then did the songs change from there? What they brought, did that take you to someplace else? What was the process on that?
And not only did they send stuff back, I mean, in the case of Slash, for instance, he would send 6 tracks back. Take what you want, leave what you want, you know what I mean? And it's the same on the new record. People would do a bunch of tracks, send them to us, and, we got to pick the best bits. Andy York, who is my co-producer, we'd put these things together with a guy called James Fazey, who's an amazing engineer, just got his first Grammy, Hoboken Studios. But mainly, it's you send people stuff, initially with COVID and all the rest of it. And because they had their home studios, they were able to improve upon them. Whereas my band, we didn't have our own studios, The Ramp Band didn't, so that's another reason why we did it.
There's 2 albums that you will have out that are called Defiance. What is the through line for you? I have my sense of what Defiance is about. What is it for you?
It's like every time anybody talks to me, the age thing comes up.
Right? I had a conversation with Joe Elliott and Rick Allen just about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about, their tour coming up and everything. And I said, so, wow, what's it like? Everybody in the band is over 60. And there was dead silence.
Well, it's not exactly attractive, to the market.
What do you mean? Everybody's over 60.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I interrupted you. So yeah, your manager brings up the age thing, or people do?
No, you do interviews, and it's like, oh, for your age and all the rest of it. And it's like, shut up, please. Either this is good or it's bad or it's indifferent, But, that's what you get lumbered with when you get old, I guess.
You start off with a song called People.
Yeah.
And one of the lines in there is you seem to be railing at commercialism, I want to say. You talk about marketing. Like we're all subject to marketing.
Yeah.
People marketing. We know what people want.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have felt like a commodity at times? Is that where they came from?
Every time I see an ad for Ask Your Doctor, that does me in. It really does me in. I got to tell you.
All the medicine ads on TV?
Yeah. I can't stand it. This country's ad-ridden, you know. It drives me nuts. And through the COVID period, of course, you know, we're all at home. You tend to watch the TV more, you know, and stuff like that. So, ask your doctor. Stop it, please, you know. Please, for heaven's sake.
What? I didn't even know I had this. What is this?
Exactly. You know, and sponsorship and somewhere about 40 pages down. You know, we're not responsible. This is not being passed by anybody.
I love those bits in the commercial where they have these beautiful, the actors are doing beautiful things. They're at the lake and they're rowing and they're talking about this may cause cancer. It may kill you. It may.
Yeah, that's exactly, you know, enough already. It's stupid. And, it's not good for people.
So you mentioned that Taylor Hawkins plays on a bunch of this record. Also, Jeff Beck is on here in among the final performances from him. What was your history with Beck, and what was that? You know, what was working with him this go round like?
I only met him once actually with Mick Ronson years ago in New York, and he was nice, you know. And then Ross Halfin rang me up one day when I was in England and said, you know, you want to go out to dinner with Johnny and Johnny Depp, you know. And it turns out Johnny Depp was a fan, and so he got Jeff. And we had an Indian meal somewhere anyway, and we had a chat and all the rest of it, you know. And then, of course, Johnny went touring with Jeff. Mm-hmm. And Johnny said, you want us to do something? You know, Jeff will do a couple. So they did. The one that's on this, Defiance 2, that's the last thing he ever recorded, according to his manager. Mm. Mm-hmm. I feel like I should have left a gap. There's no solo. He's just playing along, you know. It's a song called The Third Rail. And I just wish I'd have left a gap.
You don't know?
No.
Is it validating for you? Is it, you know, to see that all of these people want to work with you, that all these people say yes?
We were 70s, man. To have Jeff Beck on your record, you know, that's God time.
Right.
I mean, every guitar player, Mick Ralphs, you know, was a great guitar player. Mick Ronson. Jeff was their idol, you know. And to have Jeff on it, largely due to Johnny Depp, really. I mean, I didn't really know Jeff. Johnny got up with my band a couple of times, you know, and I got up with the Vampires, you know, and so I'd met him over he liked the book. I wrote a book many, many years ago, and Johnny liked that, you know. And I see him now and again. And he's good. He's a good musician. He's a good artist, and the acting, you know, speaks for itself.
What about Lucinda Williams? There was one that came out of left field, but what a great song.
She just sent a bunch of stuff. Take what you want, leave what you don't want.
But you have to send her tracks first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where does that mean? That's not out of this. I mean, she's a rock and roller, but that's a different list than the Jeff Becks and Def Leppards of the world.
Well, no, I played in Nashville with a ramp band, and she came with her husband. Her husband likes Martin and all that. And I met her after the show. She was great. And so we asked her, you know, took a while, but then all of a sudden, you know, there you are.
She is on the last track on the album. And I guess I'm old school in that I still think of sequencing, like what you start with and what you end with. You know, I consider the album still a journey. Yeah. And she sings on a song called Hope. Billy Bob Thornton is on the track. Benmont Tench, Steve Holley, Taylor also plays on that one. Why? I assume that you do sequence. What is it about Hope that you wanted to end the record with?
Like I say, the record's a bit denser, so maybe I should add that as a bit on the end.
Is that the antithesis of Kettle of Fish?
I guess so.
Which is like, I think Kettle of Fish are like, the world. There's going to be whack jobs everywhere. And I can't drink the water.
Well, there's an element of fun there, you know. You can't do a track with Cheap Trick, you know, and there's so much fun in the way Rick plays, you know.
Yeah.
What are tour plans, live plans going out with your guys? Any chance of getting any of these other guys out there?
Well, it's difficult because of tinnitus, you know. I can't use any ears. That's the problem. Tinnitus, I could deal with, but I had in ears in, and when I took them out, it was like two referees came and put two whistles in my ears, and
Oh,
went
gosh.
full blast. And that scared the living daylights out of me. And so if I go out, probably Q&A and acoustic, but things come up all the time. You know how it is when you get a little bit decrepit.
You get decrepit and more things come up? Yeah.
But I'm still writing, so you never know.
That's the thing, and you say that in one of the songs from Defiance 1, this is what I'm here for.
Exactly.
When I was 30, I was over the hill. 50 years later, I can still kill them all.
Yeah. And
can.
I got some good stuff coming up. Maybe there'll be a 3,
Is that so?
Yeah, maybe.
You still have some tracks left.
No, there's new stuff coming along nicely.
New stuff.
Yeah.
Ian Hunter, I hope that you are able to do some live performance. I would love to see some of these songs played
I'd love to
live.
see you there, mate.
The Rant Band is kick-ass, by the way, for people who haven't seen you with the Rant Band.
Always has been.
Yes.
Yeah, they're great guys, too.
Ian, good luck with this record. Defiance Part 2 is out April the 19th, and I hope to see you around town somewhere.
Yeah, me and Taylor Swift got a record out the same day.
That's it. We'll see who's.
Yeah.
We'll see which way the momentum works on that one. Thank you. Ian.
All right.
Many thanks to Ian Hunter for joining us. Defiance Part 2 out April the 19th. We are close to wrapping things up on Sound Up for this episode, but before we get out of here, we got to drop some new music suggestions for you. What have you been listening to, Alan?
So I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm never going to lie to you. I'm behind in my listening. Went to visit my son this weekend, listened in between stuff, but didn't get to everything and had to spend some time with Beyonce. So just a couple of things to mention, ones that I needed to go out of my way to make sure to listen to. One from a group called Hiatus Coyote, who have come up. It's funny. A friend of mine texted me last night, somebody who put a thread together of all the groups that Prince had posted on his Twitter when he was still around.
Oh, wow.
That he would put up, here's what I'm listening to. And some of them are new bands and some of them are old Shaka Khan records and whatever. And somebody collected all of those. And
that's so cool.
Forwarded me that last night. And I forgot that one of those, that these guys go back that far, that there was a point where Prince had posted a Hiatus Coyote song. So I was talking about Khruangbin before. It's not exactly the same. It's a little more in the sort of funk space. It's not quite as like dreamy, atmospheric, but also in the sort of spacey, jazzy funk zone for Hiatus Coyote. So a new song called Make Friends that just came out on Friday. I want to mention that one. I'll leave this more to you, Mark, because I know we did both go to one song that came out, a collaboration between two young women who are very grunge throwback.
Yeah.
Blondshell, who we love, and Bully, who I also put out a record I loved a year or two ago. They got together for a new song called Docket. So I'll let you go more on that. And I promise I won't do this with every song that comes out from St. Vincent, but a new song called Flee that is weird and dark and noisy, and a sense of where the album, which is coming out at the end of the month, is going to be going. I can't not mention that, but then I'll leave her alone.
So I was like, oh man, this is so great. Now we're probably not supposed to mention the same artist, several weeks in a row, because I had The Warning have a new song out too. And
I know, we can't just do it each time.
But I definitely co-sign with you, Alan, on Blondshell. Blondshell featuring Bully. Docket is the song. It is Sabrina May Teitelbaum, who is better known as Blondshell. And she's an LA artist, although I think that she was born in New York, if I remember.
I think that's right.
I'm pretty sure that she was. And she started off as an artist called Baum. That changed pretty quickly to Blondshell in 22. She had a single called Olympus back then. I've seen a ton of singles from Blondshell. There's a lot of great ones out there. This is just the latest, called Docket.
And don't sleep on Bully.
Oh, man. Yes, for sure. My other one, I got two more. One, I already mentioned. Yaya from Beyonce's new album is unfreaking believable. The references that she makes, the samples, God, it's just one of many. I'm sure, Alan, you feel similar. There's so many amazing songs.
I mean, this is an obvious standout because it is so different,
right?
Not just for her, but from anybody, that it's one that you notice even on a cursory listen. We will see over time what else jumps out, but this one's a killer.
I'm sorry, the people who purchased the vinyl of Cowboy Carter with that song, and I think the other one, Spaghetti, which is also an amazing song, left off the vinyl. I hope they cover you in some way with those. The final one that I had is, I think she pronounces her name Zoe Coe. It could be Zoe Coe, Zoe Coe, but she is a singer-songwriter from New York. She has been, she says, singing her whole life. Her very first full-length song she wrote at 12 when her grandpa passed. Since then, she has been unable to put down the pen, she says, and I ended up doing music programs in high school, internships in the industry, and eventually started doing music as an artist myself as a professional at 18. She is now 21, I believe. And her new song is Dirt, and it kicks ass. She's got some other stuff out, as I mentioned, worth checking, but Dirt is the new one from Zoe Coe. That's mine.
Roger, you had one you wanted to get in?
I have just one, another song dropped from the next Kings of Leon release, which is titled Can We Please Have Fun? This song is called Split Screen, and it is really, really cool. It has kind of, in my opinion, a Springsteen Tunnel of Love vibe to it, lyrically, and the way it's kind of structured, but this album, more than anything that I've heard from them in a long time, really seems to be a throwback to where they started off, but also feels very current for them. And it's crazy to think this band is now 25 years in. They started in 1999, first releases in 2003, same four guys. Very rare to have happen these days in music. Granted, they're all related, but even that sometimes makes it even worse, but never really took a break, never took time off. This is a band that's been consistent. And I think this is a song that, really, really showcases how good this band really is and how diverse they are. It's more of a moody type track.
One of the things that I loved about Kings of Leon was Caleb Followill's voice.
And I think one of the things we've talked about over the past few years is what a great voice he has and how he's kind of been lost in the mix in the last few albums. He is right up front again. He is right there.
I was going to ask you, is that because I haven't heard this
huge.
track
I mean, he's right up front, and I love that about it.
That's awesome.
So that's mine.
Awesome. All right, so those are our new music picks. You can check us out on Spotify. We have the Spotify Sound Up soundtrack playlist if you want to listen to not only these, but with sort of like a running count of our weekly music picks. So the list just continues to get longer and longer. So check it out over there. That is our show. I think we're done, right, gentlemen? Got anything else to add?
We got a lot in there.
Got a lot. www.sounduppod.com to find out how you can be a part of our live Sound Up, Sound Off podcast taping and become part of the Sound Up Pod Squad. Email us at connect@sounduppod.com.
And don't forget, go over there and give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen to Sound Up on.
All right, fellas, I think that's enough for one podcast. For Mark Goodman and Alan Light, we'll see you next time on Sound Up.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti, and distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Theme music by Smile from Tokyo. Get Sound Up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information, email us at connect@sounduppod.com. We'll see you next time right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.